Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday! This is Game Day Live. Back at you. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio virtual studios here in an undisclosed local mobile bunker location in New Jersey. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinnie Parise of Chicago. Yes, that Vinnie Parise of pucksandpitchforks.com. A blogging machine, the master of disaster, once called a troll, once lost his Twitter account, twice lost his Twitter account, got back his Twitter account without telling me. Congratulations to @Vinnie Parise. He's back as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network as the Devils are up in Ottawa to take on the Ottawa Senators as part of a makeup series of COVID delays. Vinny, how are you, my friend? Were you all, quote-unquote, jacked up this past weekend?
Oh, yeah. And just so you know, Sam, I didn't tell anyone that I got my Twitter account back. I just started rifling off tweets. I'm like, I'll figure it out. You know, I keep tagging everybody. I was tagging you in the Pucks and Pitchforks page on all my All-Star content from the weekend just to help let everybody know that, you know, we were back and ready to roll. So it was fun. I enjoyed All-Star Weekend a lot. Jack Hughes was one of the stars of the show. I mean, it started on Friday night with Mark Messier saying, Mark Messier, one of our big rivals, you know, playing against the Devils in the playoffs in the 90s, saying the guy I'm most excited to watch this weekend is number 86 of the New Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes. And then he goes out there and he puts on his magician's cape. He brings out Lil Hughes. They score goals together. They toss their sticks into the crowds together. And then the All-Star game happens where he's one of the three best players on the ice for any of the four teams. And, man, it was fun to watch. I truly enjoyed the weekend. Normally, the All-Star game, it's kind of because, you know, it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless hockey, blah, blah, blah. I enjoy seeing the New Jersey Devils in the spotlight. They're a bad team this year. Things have not gone right since the start of December. And, you know, I try to find the at least bit of positivity in anything. And I'll tell you, the Devils have a superstar on their hands. There's no reason Jack Hughes won't be invited back. He showed that he has personality. The National Hockey League's going to want Jack Hughes there as often as he can, so it's up to him to keep earning that place back. And I'm excited about the future with this guy. If the team can shore up the goaltending a little bit, keep building with Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt and Sharon Govich and Dawson Mercer, hopefully Ty Smith, Luke Hughes is coming up. You know, we like some of those guys in Utica right now. The Devils have a top 10 prospect farm, according to a lot of major outlets, including pucksandpitchforks.com. So I'm all happy with the way things have gone. I kind of got a little rejuvenated over the weekend with this All-Star game. I'm excited about the Devils a little bit. I know they're not good. They're not going to the playoffs. They might lose a lot down the stretch, but it's a really good draft this year. It's a really good draft next year, and it is what it is so far.
Well, I'll tell you what, Vinny. This is a big surprise. You were double shifting on last Tuesday. Devils After Dark, also Game Day Live. 7-1 beatdown by the Toronto Maple Leafs. It got even the most positive fans like ourselves down. We spoke over an hour about it. And
we were pissed.
Yeah, pretty much. We were a little negative, but we tried to put a spin on it, and we were just being realistic. And then I was comparing Nico Hischier with Kirk Muller, and then suddenly Stan Fischler writes about it on Sunday, but that's another story for another day. But what I didn't expect on the layoff was Jack Hughes to really re-energize the focus of enthusiasm with this New Jersey Devils team. The real winner here is, I think you pronounce his name, Brecken Scapetto, equipment manager's son, who is a fifth grade student at Bernardsville Middle School, I believe, in Bernardsville, New Jersey, being the mini Jack. Because when I first saw him come out, I'm like, dude, That's it. That's all you're going to do. And then in true Jack Hughes fashion, he does this little magic. His charismatic character he is pulled off one of the greatest breakout challenge stunts in the history of the NHL involving a youngster who also had skill of his own, and then going against the great Manon Rhéaume, first female of hockey, sister of Pascal Rhéaume, 2003 Stanley Cup champions of the New Jersey Devils. And it was a fun filled event. They tried to rig it for the home team, Vegas Golden Knights, who missed a shot. I forgot who it was. And it doesn't matter at this point because Jack Hughes was the big winner of that skills competition. And it kind of reinvigorated why Jack Hughes is Jack Hughes. And it shows that he's got superstar potential, that aura about him, the swagger about him, and realize he's under 21 years of age, and we should be a little bit more patient with Mr. Hughes and his antics.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I want to give respect to Trevor Zegras, too. I thought his little skit from Dodgeball was awesome, and I also enjoyed Alex DeBrinket's skit from The Hangover, two movies that are near and dear to my heart. I love watching those movies. But Jack Hughes, man, it was Alex Petrangelo. And John Hamm decided to give Alex Petrangelo a 19 out of 10. And John Hamm, I mean, guy. I know you're biased. I know Petrangelo was the captain of your Blues when they won the Stanley Cup in 2019. But we all know who the two winners were coming out of that thing. It was Jack Hughes and Trevor Zegras, two very good friends from the United States National Development Program, played together, drafted in the same first round, drafted in the same top 15. So it was really cool to see. I enjoyed it a lot. Jack Hughes is Jack Hughes. And I'm excited about what the future might hold with him leading the way. I know a lot of people are down on the rest of the team, but there are some good young players that play for the New Jersey Devils. There's no doubt about it. And Jack Hughes is the leader of them all. He has less points than Bratt, but we all know why. It's because he has like 10 less games. Bratt's not a point-per-game player. And he probably will be a 60, 70-point guy in his prime, I think. Jack Hughes could push 80, 90, 100. Like, I think the sky's the limit for Mr. Hughes, and he might go down as the greatest forward the Devils ever had. I know I'm speaking prematurely. We'll see what happens, but as of right now, he's on a really good trajectory. I like Jack Hughes a lot, and I think he's going to bring a lot to the table for a long time, and he's also going to do what we like to do, and that's try and make the Devils a little more popular. I mean, he's out there doing all this stuff with he's either got the Devils logo on his chest or it's on his shoulder during the All-Star game. So it's fun to see. He's fun to have. And it does seem like he enjoys representing the Devils. I heard him mention that a bunch throughout the weekend. And he knows how good he is. And he knows how good this team can be if they start getting some legit goaltending. So it was fun to watch. I enjoyed the weekend. And I'm happy that we were able to cover it and be a part of it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And in other news as well, Devils are in Ottawa to make up those games that were postponed because of COVID. So we have some bonus games because we were supposed to have this elongated Olympic break. Not so fast. Devils travel for a 3-game road trip starting in Ottawa tonight against the Ottawa Senators, then to Montreal on Tuesday. And then Thursday, they fly down to St. Louis to play the St. Louis Blues to complete the week. So basically 3 road games in 4 days. You're at the mercy of scheduling of a lot of these buildings. So we're happy that they have it scheduled. We got some Devils hockey right now as the Olympics have going on in Beijing. But some of the topics, Mikey McLeod is back. He's practicing with the team. He's made the trip. Dougie Hamilton won't be traveling with the team. Still has the no-contact jersey. And also, let's talk about Pavel Zacha. Pavel Zacha moving to the middle. Pavel Zacha, part of a lot of gossip of trade rumors as of late on various websites out there. Don't know if they're unfounded, but you've got to think that there are interest out there, inquiries from the league, from other teams. And what are your thoughts, Vinny? Pavel Zacha filling in for Jack Hughes, who couldn't make the trip because why? Because he is in COVID protocol after testing positive. But what are your thoughts about Pavel Zacha? Because I think he's going to need a strong second half either way. But right now, he could be a hot commodity come trade deadline.
Yeah, so let's say you're the Boston Bruins, the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche. Any of these teams that have a legit chance to win the Stanley Cup come May, or I think the schedule has it going into June, well into June this year. Of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins, just teams like that. You'd want this guy. You'd want Pavel Zacha as either one of your third or fourth line wingers, third or fourth line center. You don't rely on him for scoring. The Devils probably rely on him for scoring a little too much, and he hasn't really provided that in his NHL career, but he has provided that he could be a big body that's hard to move, good penalty killer, not an elite player. People dislike Pavel Zacha because he was a 6th overall pick. But if Bratt was the 6th overall pick and Zacha was the 6th round pick in that draft, then everybody would appreciate each of them for what they were. Drafting isn't about, where you're taken. The guys taken ahead of them just know where they're going a little quicker. That, to me, is the only difference. It's about what you do once you make it to your team. And Zacha hasn't really lived up to being a 6th overall pick. I say he for sure hasn't lived up to being a 6th overall pick, but he's a good player that would help a good team in the dirty areas in the postseason. I imagine him being a rather good postseason player. It wouldn't surprise me if once the playoffs came around, if he was on a good team, he found his game a little bit because he seems to do better with less. And if he was on a 4th line on a team that had a lot of depth, like let's say he was on the New York Rangers and Ryan Strome was his 3rd line centerman or something like that. I know Strome can play 1st line center with the Rangers too, but that's just an example. There are lots of teams that have pretty good 3rd line, either forwards or centermen or wingers that Pavel Zacha would fit in well. So if the Devils could get something for him, I would do it because I don't think you're winning a Stanley Cup with Pavel Zacha as one of your 5 best players. So if you could get assets for him, I'd be in favor of it. There are probably teams making a push that would like to have someone like Pavel Zacha. A team I often want to watch out for right now is either the New York Islanders or the Detroit Red Wings. The Eastern Conference seems pretty set in terms of the 8 teams that are going to make it, but if one of those 2 teams is to try and make a little late season push with the way the standings are, adding a couple unknown players as far as the rest of the league is concerned, like Pavel Zacha, could go a long way in their quest to do so, or at least build for the future. Hey, if we get Pavel Zacha and he's our 4th line center going forward, it really is a thing. Now, the one thing I wanted to bring up when discussing Pavel Zacha, because I had a feeling this would come up, is Dawson Mercer. Dawson Mercer, to me, makes Pavel Zacha expendable because Mercer could probably play wing if he wanted. He's been playing center this season. He's proven that he could be electric factory when things are going his way. He hit a little bit of a rookie wall. I'm not in the least bit surprised because this is, he kind of came out of nowhere. No, we didn't have Dawson Mercer making this team when we chatted in our last show before the regular season started. We all thought Alexander Holtz had a better chance. And then he went off during the preseason. So to me, a guy like Mercer could just pretty much take Pavel Zacha's spot in terms of their long-term plans. And then, of course, the Devils probably figured to have a fairly high draft pick this year. There are a lot of really good forwards to consider. I look at a couple mock drafts today. A lot of people have them taking one of those big defensemen from Slovakia. If they went defenseman, I wouldn't be too surprised, but that would be 2 out of the last 3 drafts or 2 out of the last 4 drafts that they took a defenseman in the first round. Obviously, 2020 is a little different. They had 3 picks, so they were, of course, going to take a defenseman with one of the 3 picks. But I think Mercer makes Zacha someone to really consider moving. I would definitely do it if the price was right. If the Pittsburgh Penguins said, hey, we'll give you a 3rd and a B-level prospect for Pavel Zacha, or we'll give you a 2nd just straight up for Pavel Zacha, That's probably not going to happen. I don't think Pavel Zacha is worth a second and probably would be third or later. But, I mean, you just never know with some of these teams that truly believe that they're on the back end of winning a Stanley Cup, like Pittsburgh. Crosby and Malkin, they're getting into their mid-30s now. Those guys want to win now. So they might pay too much to get someone like Zacha to be their third-line center. We all remember how much they gave up to get guys like Nick Bonino or Carl Hagelin. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I kind of root for Pavel Zacha because I kind of feel bad for him. Like he didn't draft himself 6th overall. He didn't draft himself over Mikko Rantanen or Zach Werenski, two guys who deserve to be all-stars year after year and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, that's a long-winded answer of saying I would do it.
Yeah, and you know what? Keep in mind, Vinny, if anybody went to NHL.com and read the interview that Tom Fitzgerald, Devils GM, obviously, when he spoke about not expecting some of these guys, some of these players, they were some of them kind of ahead of what they were projecting their growth, and they weren't expecting Dawson Mercer to be, like you said, be in the lineup, NHL lineup. They weren't expecting a lot of things. And, right now, the way this season has gone and the way last season has gone, a lot of these players on the Devils, young players, are at times asked to go above and beyond where they should be capable of playing. For example, when all these injuries happened, you pulled Mikey McLeod from the 4th line, and he spent time with the 1st line because of injuries to the 1st line, for example, or COVID protocol or whatever. A lot of these players were kind of out of sync in that respect. Certain players deserve to be put where they can succeed the best. That Bastion, Mikey McLeod, and say if Miles Wood was there, that 4th line, just because it's the 4th line, I always said in hockey or even in sports in general, in soccer or basketball or football, you're only as good as the players that you actually put out there. So I look at this team as a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D lines. They're not the 4th line because they're the worst line. They play a particular role. Look what Nathan Bastian has done since coming back from the Seattle Kraken, picked off the waivers. He's a scoring machine up front. All he's doing is simplified his game and knowing where the puck is, knowing how to just be a distraction to the goalie just enough to get those quote-unquote garbage goals. Goals are goals. And I think right now with Pavel Zacha being traded, teams have to give up at least a 1st-round pick for Tom Fitzgerald to move Pavel Zacha. It's not going to happen if you don't, unless you mortgage the future of 10 second-rounders, 5 second-rounders. It's not going to happen either. You're going to have to give up a 1st-round pick for Pavel Zacha if Tom Fitzgerald is going to even consider entertaining an offer, because he is a big size. He can play the wing. He can play center. He is now a veteran. He's one of our own, and he's just entering his prime. Yes, he's struggled, but you're going to have to offer quite a bit to get Tom Fitzgerald to part ways with Pavel Zacha. And also, just remember, again, a lot of these players are just not playing where they are comfortable playing, and a lot of them have overachieved and exceeded everyone's expectation as actually playing in the NHL, not playing in Utica.
Yeah, and you think of guys like Mercer, Sharangovich, Kokkonen even. Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. The price would need to be right in order to move Zacha. I'm cool with keeping him if they so wanted. If they had him next year and Bastian stays and they get Miles Wood back healthy, I mean, Miles Wood, it feels like a name that's a blast from the past, but he's like supposed to be here, and he will be here when he's healthy. And I think he brings a lot more to the table than people realize. So, you get Dougie Hamilton back. Health hasn't been really something on New Jersey's side this year, and neither has COVID. They've had a lot of people out with COVID at various times. Like Jack Hughes is out again. I mean, sick trip to Vegas, man. And then his brother tests positive too. So, something's going around there that caused all these guys to miss time. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But the Devils are obviously not going to be buyers at the deadline, but they don't really have that much to sell off either. It's more about building up for the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'm ecstatic. I thought I was going to be really mad going into this game tonight, but the way Jack Hughes conducted himself, his enthusiasm, and I said this on the Woo Report over the weekend, his enthusiasm is so contagious. He's so charismatic. He's so matter of fact, but in such a surfer dude way. And the way he conducts himself, he wants to be a New Jersey Devil. He wants to make things, work here. And I sometimes think he's pressing too hard and is trying to do more than what he should be doing right now. And I think that's why we have a lot of turnovers from Jack Hughes. He's trying so hard to make something out of nothing. But as he starts to mature, the maturation process, the growing pains that fans are going through, the team is going through, you're going to see Jack Hughes eventually, I get it. High risk play, dump it, get a change, moving on. I did not risk a goal going the other way. And hockey is a game of momentum. Hockey is a game where, these little things add up and count. We've seen it time and time again with Jack Hughes coughing up the puck or trying to get a little too fancy. Drop passes, blind drop passes, and then suddenly odd man rush the other way, the other team scores, and suddenly the momentum changes for the New Jersey Devils. Those things we're going to have to go through. And folks, when you look at it right now that we're rational people, because last Tuesday, admittedly, Vinnie and I were very irrational at times, but we try to keep our cool about it. Think positively, folks. In 2 years, if we have the Devils have the fourth best farm system on average by all the pundits on the internet. I calculate. Some say number 1, some say number 5, 7, but mostly say between 2 to 5, mixed in there with Buffalo and Ottawa, with their farm systems, and Detroit. And what we find here is, look, by the time 2024-25 comes around, 2 years, they should have matured and have gotten it and have figured out how to play smart hockey and not be such a liability on defense, a liability on the power play where they're giving up goals. They will figure it out. Unfortunately, it takes time for them to learn and figure out that it is the NHL. You can't get away with these mistakes or these high-risk plays at this level, what they were used to at juniors or, the under 17, leagues and all that kind of stuff. This is the NHL, and you have to come prepared because at any given moment, another team can swing the momentum and go the other way.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. The Devils do have, I was looking at the Athletic today. They're right there. Minnesota Wild, Buffalo Sabres, Los Angeles Kings, Anaheim Ducks, Ottawa Senators, New Jersey Devils. I mean, they're right there. And I don't think they necessarily have that one guy that we're so excited to see called up. Next year, Luke Hughes one day. I think Alexander Holtz is fantastic. But, providing we have that guy already. We have Jack Hughes. And then Nico Hischier is not too bad himself. He's not as offensively gifted as some of these other people, but Nico Hischier is a really good player, and every number on planet Earth tells you that that's the case. And you combine that with some of the depth in this prospect pool, it feels bleak right now because they don't win at the NHL level pretty much ever. I like them tonight against Ottawa, but, it's not a lock. Ottawa's got good players too, just like the Devils. And they have their young captain in place, just like the Devils. So I'm looking at it from a glass half full point of view, because I do think they're in a better place than they were even the year after they made the playoffs in 2018, because we knew Hall was like probably gone. Nobody wanted to admit it, but we all knew deep down inside his heart was never in it. He didn't want to get traded out of Edmonton. He made that very clear. And so just with the way things are right now, well, let's just enjoy it a little bit. At least that's what I'm going to try and do.
Andrew Gilbert says, how many more years are we going to say we are building for the future? Andrew, I am in the same boat with you with that mindset, but I'm going to tell you 2 years, and I'm basing it on when were you saying 2 years, Vinny, or were you giving me the hand signal that my mic is? Oh, okay.
No,
yeah, so
I was giving you the 2 years symbol.
Yeah. 2 years, and I'm basing it on when Tom Fitzgerald took over the team. I'm basing it on that his tenure really started last season in the midst of COVID, which that was a wash season. He's really a year and a half into his tenure based on the amount of hockey that's played. You got to give Tom Fitzgerald probably 4 to 5 years from when he really truly began to really see what he's done. Again, Alexander Holtz is in the AHL. Dawson Mercer is the only full-time NHL player under Tom Fitzgerald that was drafted with those 5 draft picks. Muhammad Doolin may be coming soon. Who knows? KHL, I believe, is canceled for whatever reason. It could be for geopolitical reasons or it could be for COVID. We don't know. But fact is, Muhammad Doolin might be coming over. I just don't know when. Also, Luke Hughes, University of Michigan, needs about a year or 2, 3 years to develop. Maybe he'll leave his junior year. Maybe he'll leave his sophomore year. But Luke Hughes is going to be good on defense. He needs time to develop physically, and he also needs time to develop his game at the college level. Jack Hughes did not have college. Remember that. Jack Hughes had probably one of the weirdest starts to an NHL career as an 18-year-old. He turns 18. He gets thrown to the wolves. The team starts slumping. GM gets fired. Coach gets fired. New GM. COVID hits. 9.5 months without hockey. Comes back, puts 14 pounds, then gets hit COVID, loses the 14 pounds of muscle. And then suddenly we expect Jack Hughes to be Jack Hughes. Well, look where he was at All-Star, okay? Jack Hughes knows how to, when he has room, he is fun to watch, to operate. The key with Jack Hughes is, can he operate with no room? And that takes time to develop, okay? If he could take that same skill set where he can room to operate, but 2 years later, when there's no room to operate, you're talking about Sidney Crosby-esque type player on the New Jersey Devils. Mark my words on it. So I'm not saying be patient because David Blitzer says be patient. I'm saying be patient because from a hockey development standpoint, I like what I see. I, too, am frustrated, but you know what? Too bad. I'm giving Tom Fitzgerald to 2025, and if he's not, and this team's not in the playoffs by then, and they're still in the same stuck position they are now, blow it up at that point. That's just my 2 cents.
Yes. I understand the sentiment from the question about how long are we going to keep saying build. I also agree with 2 years. I also don't consider 2013. I mean, people are mad because they haven't been consistently good since 2012. But 2013, 14, 15, 16, those are all irrelevant. 17 and 18 are getting pretty irrelevant at this point, too, with the way Tom Fitzgerald has been running things since Ray Sherrill left. So really, it's basically just this year, last year, and half of the year before that, kind of. So, and then there's COVID. That stinks. The goalie situation, that's not been great. So, yeah, you got to give it just a little bit more time, I guess. And then I agree. Then if you get to 2025 and it's still the same old stuff, then it's like, okay, this team's not getting it done. Like, let's start from scratch again, which is just brutal to think about. But, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I think there'll be a little bit better than people think, even as early as next year, because we saw a glimpse of what this team can play like early this season when they get good goaltending and when everyone is healthy.
Yeah, and the goaltending is another matter for another day. Also, Nico Dawes gets the nod tonight, coming up from at NJ Devils Twitter account. Nico Dawes is in. Gillies will back up. Also, from Amanda Stein, status quo on the warm-up lineup that she posted. Let's go over that. Starting on the first line, Sharon Govis, Heischer, Bratt. Second line, Boquist, Zaka filling in for Jack Hughes and VC. VC on the wing. Third line, Janssen, Mercer, Tatar. Fourth line, Kokkonen, McLeod, Bastion. Defensive pairing, Severson, Siegenthaler. Second pairing, Smith, Subban. Third pairing, White and Graves. And again, Dawes in net starting against the Ottawa Senators. Gillies backing up. Those are the starting lineups for your New Jersey Devils. All right, Vinnie, prediction time. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
I got the New Jersey Devils beating the Ottawa Senators by a score of 5-2.
5-2. All right. Well, I'm thinking 4-2 Devils. So we're on the same page. Are we realistic? Are we going to get flack from people that, hey, woo, you keep on saying that the Devils win, but they're not. You stink. Well, you know what? I don't really care because that's what I feel, right? So, all right. Well, I just want to thank all those watching us as we're doing Game Day Live, stuck at on the road, but we still do it. We still do it, Vinny. And congratulations on your at Vinnie Parise Twitter account, getting that back. And also, I didn't change the copy on Twitter. So if you want to go, in case Vinny gets hacked again, you could also follow him at underscore Parise, underscore Vinny underscore Parise on Twitter, because in case it happens, you got to back up Vinnie Parise. That guy's even funnier than the real Vinnie Parise. I don't get it.
Yeah, he really is. He really, really is.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Vinny, I'm going to hit the music. Want to thank those watching us. Devils After Dark, after the game. Scotty of SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Enjoy the game, everybody. Devils against the Ottawa Senators. Till next time, this is Game Day Live. Let's go Devils.